Hey guys, what's up? We're here for the next installment of SamboTech Fight Breakdowns. I'm here with Tommy Doyle, one of the coaches here at New York Combat Sambo, and we're going to break down the Cummins versus Carlos Jr. fight from the Brazil UFC last week. And we're going to pick specifically a sequence that happened in round one that involved a nice takedown and a pretty crazy leg lock exchange afterwards. So I'm going to play the role of Cummins. During their clinch war, Cummins gets an over and under and goes for an oichigari on Carlos Jr. or an inside trip, as you may call it. He gets him turning, he inside trips and takes him down into the guard. As he's posturing up to work his ground and pound, Carlos Jr. underhooks, goes for the knee bar, brings Cummins to his chest towards the floor. At this point, Cummins does the right thing and starts to walk back and sit on Carlos Jr. And he's trying to unhook this leg on this side and hitting with this hand, which is not necessarily the best choice, but this is what happens. He doesn't get out, but he does defend the knee bar. At a certain point, he decides he's going to turn and put this foot flat on the floor, which he gets for a split second. He gets this on the floor, and except it ends up under his armpit here, like this. Yeah, he's standing here, but he loses his balance right away and spins over. And Carlos Jr. works the triangle underneath him here, and Cummins is now stuck. This was a great moment for Carlos Jr. to finish the inverted over there, but he doesn't go for it. He had phenomenal leg control, you can tell. He kept switching his foot back and forth based on where Cummins was trying to spin out, right? So it was real tight. If you watch the fight, this was real tight. I was really surprised Carlos didn't go for the inverted. So what happens though is he starts to go for a toe hold right here. Yes. That moment, Cummins is on his feet, and when he goes for the toe hold, there's no leg control on this leg. He's got a lot of movement. And Cummins is able to stand back up and get to this position. Carlos Jr. then, being pretty slick, switches, and there's always a little ground and pound going on in here. He switches to a calf crusher and pulls Cummins down, but he doesn't unbalance him. He's just sitting on him. He's got one arm around here, one arm around here. At this point, there's always a little bit of ground and pound going on, and Cummins is working to uncross these feet. Eventually, he gets it uncrossed. Carlos Jr. spins on his back a little to try and recover, and then Cummins gets out. Okay? That's pretty much how it went down, give or take a few minor details. It's a really long sequence. So we're going to go step by step, moment through moment. So let's start with the inside trip, oichigari. Actually, this takedown happened twice in Fight Night that week. Once with Magomedov and the other with Cummins. Magomedov did it with double unders. Cummins did it with over-under. So what's real nice about the over-under to the inside trip is that, he had under and over. The tripping side had the over, and the non-tripping side had the under. And this is really good because you can pinch the arm and raise, you can steer them. It approximates a jacket really nicely, but you get good control of the shoulders. So from here, he makes Carlos Jr. take a step, and as he's stepping, he hooks and goes down. Boom, they get into here. takedown. It's a pretty high percentage takedown from the clinches. At this point, when he starts to posture, he immediately goes for the knee bar. Boom, right? And we're here. At this point, Cummins did exactly what you're supposed to do, which Fitch did not do against Paul Harris, because Fitch ended up in this position, the same exact position. And if you remember in our last breakdown, we talked about how you always have to control for the reaping leg, for that wrapping leg from the outside. So for example, if we switch for a minute, just for a split second, to a regular Achilles lock, or a heel hook, and not from the outside, from here, we talked about how I have to always control for the reaping leg, right? So I always have to be unhooking this so I can get up and stack, right? And actually Cummins did this perfectly in round 2 against the heel hook attempt. But if we take that principle of controlling the reaping leg, right, getting up top, and always controlling for that reap, that diminishes his leg control. Now if we go to the belly down knee bar that was being attempted, it's the same principle, right? I have to control for the reap, which is this leg. And I have to stand up. Exactly what Cummins did. He comes up and he sits on Carlos Jr. Carlos didn't have a triangle, his feet were just crossed. But where Cummins made a slight error here is he started trying to control for this foot. But this is not the reaping foot. This is the foot the leg that he should have controlled, because this is the one that's attacking my leg. My leg on this side is free. There's no reason to go for this leg, even just to stack that leg, because I'm stacking him by sitting on it, right? So really, the quicker escape, I mean, Cummins ended up escaping, but the quicker escape would have been just like if we do a front-facing leg attack, clear this reap and start controlling for this. Me, I'm not about, you can counter footlock here if you want, but when I'm in danger, I prefer to escape and then recounter later. So from here, he should be getting this reap off, and then he can stand up and escape, okay? But Cummins didn't do that, so let's go back to that belly down knee bar position. He's here, gets up like you're supposed to, and he squats. He's stacking, but he's controlling for this leg, doing some ground and pound here. It's not working for him, so he tries to spin out, but first he tries to stand up, right? And this foot ends up under here. Boom. He stands up here for a split second, which is pretty safe position, but he unbalances him and he spins over. Now at this point, Carlos Jr. has a super tight triangle. So tight that Cummins cannot spin back to correct this. You can watch the fight, you see him, he's trying, but he's got this pinch so tight that he can't, right? So I don't understand exactly why Carlos Jr. decided not to do the inverted heel hook, but he really had the fight finished. It was home for him right there. There was no way Cummins was getting out. If you watch the fight, Cummins is trying to spin back to correct his mistake, and he couldn't do it. So, but what happens is, he starts to posture a little, and Carlos Jr. goes for the toe hold. That was Carlos Jr.'s error, right? Because of that, he let go of the control of this leg, and Cummins was able to break free and stand up. From here, Carlos slides. If you go back and look again, right, this leg was, just uncrossed for a minute, was still through when he stood up. It's a very easy correction to get the calf slicer from here. All Tommy has to do is shift his hips and slide this ankle down towards my knee, right? And now what he's got to do is get some kind of leverage to compress my butt towards my heel. And he pulls down like this. He pulls Cummins down on top of him. Close, but the problem is it's very hard to finish this compression without leg control. Remember, for all leg locks, you need good leg control. So he was my guess is he was probably trying to reach around the waist, but he couldn't do it. The better finish, or the better option, if he had thought of it, might have been to underhook and get both arms around the thigh instead of the hips. And now he could really squeeze and unbalance me, like just shift his hips in any direction and roll me that way or roll me this way. But with holding the hips, the single hip, now he can really squeeze. Go ahead, finish it. Like that. Okay? But that's not what happened. He had his arm on the outside. So he's here, he's holding it. Cummins is just content to sit here, throw occasional punches, work on undoing this, right? So once he gets it undone, Carlos Jr. realizes it's almost finished, he's almost out, and he tries to spin on his back to recounter, picks a direction, yeah, and then, but opens his legs, and Cummins escapes. So there were several moments in there where Cummins could have escaped sooner, and Carlos Jr. could have finished. So we're going to run through it one more time, the whole sequence, just to give you guys a clear understanding. We're here. After the stand-up scrap, they get to clinch. Cummins originally had this, and he fights his way to get this. Gets the over-under, turns Carlos Jr., and you can see he spins him. Here. Wow! That was a bad one. Okay, so he spins him and hooks him here. Right? He rushes up to get that posture, ground and pounds. Carlos gets the knee bar, inverted. Cummins sits up and stacks. Point one, where Cummins could have escaped sooner, by controlling the reaping leg, getting it out, and escaping. But it didn't happen. He was controlling the non-reaping leg and hitting here, okay? He tries to get up and stand on this foot. Doesn't work for long. He falls over, tries to spin out, gets caught in a really tight leg control triangle here. And Carlos is using this butterfly very well. If you watch the fight, he would either hook the body or the leg, depending on where Cummins was spinning. Like if he was over here, he would have the body. He'd come back. He would be out towards the leg, really controlling. But anyway, at this point, it's not working. Cummins, Carlos Jr., we were saying could have went for the inverted right now, but he never attempted it, which is a little bit of a mystery to me. I think he probably could have finished it right there with the kind of solid leg control he had. But what he did was go for the toe hold. When he went for that, he allowed Cummins to get up and escape. But he switched again to the compression, grabbed Cummins' hips, pulled him down, but not enough to unbalance him. Cummins had really good base and just stayed up top here until he uncrossed and escaped. What Carlos Jr. could have done was, instead of going around both hips, going around the one leg, unbalancing me towards my right. Let's just say, yep, like this, finishing the compression. You can even, see there's a lot of room in here, so he could even go for like a rear naked choke position to finish that, right? But that's not what happened. He was grabbing both hips, and Cummins was playing with this leg, an occasional strike to the head. Finally, he gets it free. He realizes he's losing the triangle. He starts to spin. Cummins escapes. And that's how it went down. So hopefully this gives you guys a little bit more of an understanding of that exchange. The exchange was a lot of flow back and forth, and I had to rewind it and watch it a bunch of times to actually see what happened. So hopefully this will help you guys understand that scenario. Thanks, Tommy. We'll see you guys at episode 3.